everyone. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Milwaukee Beer Review. As always, I'm Josh.
And I'm Ross.
And today we have got some unique stuff from a brewery that you've seen from us before in Foxtown Brewing Company. Now, Foxtown Brewing Company is based out of Mequon, Wisconsin, so just a little northwest of Milwaukee proper. But what we just learned, and what I just learned, is that their beer is actually brewed out of a separate facility in Germantown. So we've got some stuff here from their Brewers Reserve series I picked up about a month or so ago. Some interesting beers here. We've got a Wheatwine and a Barleywine that we're going to try. You saw us pour all these out. And we're going to let you know what we think about some more unique stuff from Foxtown Brewing. You got to spend some time with them recently. Ross, what do you want to tell us about them?
Yeah, I mean, really cool, like, setup and everything, location. Like, as he kind of mentioned, they have a separate location where they do all the brewing, everything. We have to go there. It's a pretty small facility, I mean, small setup right now, but they are expanding. They're looking to do more with the area that they had. Really cool people, really fun people to kind of hang out with, talk and kind of talk about the brewing process and kind of what they got coming up. Then we actually got to go to the brewery and kind of mentioned in the last show, like, they have the really, like, unique cave system in the basement. Strongly suggest checking out the brewery. Ask if you can get a tour. It's a really nice little spot. I think one of the more up-and-coming breweries in the area. I really do think this is one where it's kind of a hidden gem. And the more you try their beers, I think the more you're going to like them. So.
And good food, too.
Absolutely. The food's fantastic there.
Great pairing there. So we're going to dive right into these. We've got a Wheatwine up here first. So this is a Whisky Barrel-aged Wheatwine. And this comes in at 11% ABV. So we've had a few wheat wines before. I don't see a ton of them.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty rare.
Let's check this thing out and see what we think. We've never had this.
Get a little nose on it.
Get a little nose on the wheat wine. Whiskey. Mm-hmm. Whiskey and sweetness. Definitely
Yeah, that sweetness, that grain from the whiskey is pretty prominent.
Like almost like a candy sweetness behind kind of the whiskey notes on this.
The barley really comes through. The barley, the wheat, and everything. I know we're saying it's wheat wine, but it's really prominent there. Where I think a lot of times when we try a lot of beers that have more malt characteristics, this really is like the barley and the wheat that's really shining through.
Yeah, I think the sweetness on this type of beer too kind of reminds me, like if you had a comparison note, almost like Smarties. If you've ever had Smarties before,
I see what you're saying.
Kind of like a weaker, not sour, but like sweet, sugary kind of note to it. Yeah,
I get where you're coming from.
Smells really solid.
It really does.
Whiskey smells good.
Yeah,
let's check it out.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh.
So it's definitely got that like sweet characteristic you're talking about, really in the back end of it. I'm not really sure what the sweetness I'm tasting is. I can't pick out exactly like what I'm tasting or what it exactly is, but it's got a nice sweetness, kind of like balance and smooth it out. It's a pretty thin. There's not a lot of, in my opinion, there's not a lot of viscosity to this one.
Yeah, I'd say it's about medium body. So not super carbonated. I don't expect that with a beer like this. It tastes like a barley wine / wine style beer. I mean, as far as mouthfeel, that's what I'm getting on the mouthfeel with it. As far as taste, the front end is a little bit weak. Then I get kind of the wheat notes, and the whiskey kind of sneaks up behind it and is kind of it's a heavy part of the finish on the beer. The whiskey's a heavy part of the finish. The wheat characteristics are definitely there all the way through. They start a little bit on the front end, like I said, and kind of finish out with the whiskey. This is pretty good. It's tame.
Yeah.
It's really smooth. It's not a super heavy beer. I mean, 11% is not a low ABV, but as far as a wheat wine or a barley wine style beer that's aged in barrels, that's a little bit on the lower-ish side of that, I suppose, if it's barrel aged. This is really solid.
It's good.
I like it.
I enjoy it. I think it's just missing maybe like a thing or like an adjunct or something to really make it pop. With that said, though, I think it's really tasty. It's really good. I enjoy it. I would definitely drink it again. Putting this on Untappd, I'm gonna go probably about 3.5 on this one.
Okay.
I think it's such a solid beer. I don't know. It just needs a little something to kind of put it over the top for me.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's missing just a little bit of maltiness, I think. I'm missing a little bit of that malt character to it. I want to chew this a little bit more than what I am.
Good word.
Yeah, thank you. And it's not quite there. That could be just that it's a wheat wine, and you're not going to get quite the barley wine characteristics out of it. But
That's fair.
I think it's pretty decent. I'm going to give this a 3.75. I think it's a very drinkable, very good beer. The ABV on this is great. I think this just makes it's a really accessible beer. And for a barrel-aged beer, whiskey barrels, I think it's pretty decent. So I'm going to put it at a 3.75.
Oh, good beer. I mean, it's solid. So
For sure. So what are we trying next?
All right, so next we're moving on to their barley wine. So this is a barley wine aged in bourbon barrels. And this one uses Elijah Craig bourbon barrels, which is out of Kentucky, as we learned earlier today, actually. So
You were going to call out another video that we recorded, but we don't know what order they're going to come out in.
exactly.
Ha! Got you.
So we've done a lot of barley wines on the show. This is the first one I think we've done that's been in Elijah Craig barrels, at least I can recall.
That I'm aware of.
Exactly. Good call. No, this one comes in at 11.3%, so just a tick up from the previous one. As you can see from the colors, it's distinct different colors. Have very classic barley wine, got a caramel toffee color to it. So let's get a little nose on it.
Get a little nose on the barley wine. Distinct bourbon note on the nose. It's, bourbon and whiskey, they play very hand in hand together, but there is a clear difference on the nose between
100%.
whiskey and bourbon.
That dark fruit fig that you get with barley wine is kind of starting to come through here a bit more.
Yep.
And I think that's that sweetness you're getting at. A little bit like tinge up the malt characteristic that I think you want in the previous beers there as well.
Yeah,
on the nose at
bourbon malt character, kind of that dark fruit note, big time barley wine characteristics coming off the nose.
Yeah. But no, it smells good. So.
Check this thing out.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
So the flavor is really good, but I wouldn't call it a full flavor beer. It kind of up front, the palate there's not a lot going on, but the back end, you get that traditional barley wine taste notes where it's got that fig, that dark fruit, a little bit of malty characteristic, that barley kind of comes through. No harshness from the bourbon whatsoever, despite how much you're getting it on the nose. I mean, it's solid. It's good. I enjoy it. So.
Yeah, I think similar to your take, light to medium body on this. It's not heavy at all. So very, very drinkable. Again, about same level of carbonation as the wheat wine. Definitely maltier. I'm getting more of the malt characters that I like in a barley wine versus what we got out of the wheat wine. The actual taste notes. The front end is very malty. Like, I get a lot of malt character. It tastes like a barley wine that's not barrel aged to me. I don't get a lot of spirit character on this, so it tastes like a pretty solid barley wine that hasn't had that barrel aged kick to it. Is what I'm really getting on the palate with this. The bourbon is missing to me on the palate. It's there, but it's like very subtle. I'm not getting a lot of the barrel characteristics on this, which I'd really like in a barrel-aged barley wine, which is, I think, where the miss is for me. The way this beer finishes, it finishes with the malt character. That's what lingers, and that's what kind of sticks around, which I like out of a barley wine. If you're going to give me a barley wine, I want that malt character to stick, which this does really, really well. I just feel like the spirit character on this is just missing a little bit.
I don't disagree. So, again, I think to that point, and kind of similar to the previous one we just had, I'm going to put this at about a 3.5 again, with the previous one just a slightly tick above it. If the bourbon characteristic came through a bit more, I think this would shine really, really well. Almost a bit of like a harshness that actually would go a long way with this one.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like, I enjoy it. It's just, again, with just like the Wheatwine, it's just missing just that little something to kind of give it like its own unique style and everything. So
Yeah. Sadly, and even though I do like this, I think as a standard barley wine, this is pretty decent. I'm going to probably go a 3 1/4 on this.
All right.
I'm going to go a little bit lower. I mean, I thought I would like this more than the wheat wine. The wheat wine's really well constructed. The characters are all there. This just feels like it's missing a prominent component to me. So I've got to give it a couple of notches down.
Okay.
I'm going to put it at a 3 1/4. I still think it's a decent beer. I really love Foxtown Brewing Company.
Absolutely.
This is not, this is not because
It's still a good score.
It's still a good score. 3 1/4 is not terrible,
I'll
but
take a good score.
I think this is where this sits.
No,
quite
I think
frankly,
that's fair, so.
being completely honest. So, decent beers, both really, really good. Personally, I prefer the wheat wine. I think you might prefer the barley.
I think I actually prefer the Wheatwine slightly over.
Okay,
So,
interesting. Yeah, so if you can find these, I got them about a month ago.
Yeah.
We won't tell you what time frame that was because, hey, we
You never know
don't
the
know when
show's
you're
coming
watching
out,
this.
so.
But really good stuff here. Enjoyable beers from Foxtown Brewing Company. Definitely check them out if you get the opportunity and you're in the Milwaukee area. So thanks for watching. Check us out on the rest of our social media channels. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are on Untappd. We are on Twitter. We are also here on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to see you stick around and check out all the rest of the great content we are putting out for not us, but for you, the viewers at home. So stick around, and we'll see you in a future episode.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.